Hi guys, welcome back to Wentworth Life, the YouTube channel that talks everything Wentworth. If this is your first time here, then don't forget to smash that subscribe button and share the Wentworth love. I hope you are all well. I've got to say guys, I am so pleased that you're all enjoying my Season 8 Theories series. I've been getting a lot of amazing feedback of everyone, and I've just got to say a massive thank you to you all. So just a reminder that this is not what Season 8 is going to be about. This is just a little bit of a fan fiction that I have been writing and producing for fun. I mean, it would be great if some of my storytelling hits the main script, but literally this is just for a bit of fun and speculation. So if you haven't seen the first 3 parts, then you need to stop this video immediately, go and watch those parts, and then come back here. So just a very quick recap of what happened towards the end of the last video. Kate Peterson has been sending poor Ali around the bend and was going to try and kill her by making it look like suicide. Jake hit rock bottom, got into drugs and decided to get some revenge of his own on Ferguson. Jake ended up shooting himself in front of everyone in the yard, and a distraught Vera attacked Ferguson. Ali completely lost her mind and she ended up stabbing poor Boomer in the stomach in a moment of madness. So let's continue the story. Boomer is lying in a pool of blood holding her stomach. Ali is screaming for help. Mr. Jackson finds them and raises the alarm. Dr. Peterson arrives to help Boomer while Will is asking Ali what the hell has just happened. Ali tells Will that she was being attacked by Officer Brody. Dr. Peterson looks at Ali and Will can see that something isn't quite right. Ali is put into the slot for her own protection and Boomer is taken to hospital. The stab wound isn't too deep, but Boomer will need some stitches and to be checked in for any internal damage. Jake's dead body is taken away. Vera, still very distraught, can't believe what has just happened. Anne Reynolds tells Vera that there are going to be questions on how Jake got the gun into the prison. Will goes to medical to speak to Dr. Peterson. He questions her about Ali. He asks her if she's noticed how Ali has changed recently in her behaviour. Dr. Peterson tells him that she has been acting out of character lately. Will then asks her how does she know Sean Brody. Dr. Peterson replies and tells Will that she doesn't know what he's talking about. But then Will tells her that he saw the photograph that had fallen out of her handbag earlier. Dr. Peterson tells Will that he is mistaken, but then Will grabs the handbag. Dr. Peterson tries to grab it back, but Will gets the photo and shows it to her. He tells her that Sean Brody was a scumbag who murdered 2 women in the prison. Dr. Peterson's face changes and tells Will in a very deep, dark voice that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Will tells her that he's going to report this to Vera straight away, and just as Will turns his back, Dr. Peterson smashes Will over the head and knocks him out. Will is lying on the floor. Dr. Peterson has an evil, menacing look on her face. She takes his keys and heads over to the slot where Ali is. In the hospital, it looks like Boomer is going to be fine. Miss Miles is guarding Boomer, and Boomer cracks a joke saying to the nurses that she probably survived because of all her belly fat. A doctor comes into the room and tells Boomer that the stab wound wasn't too deep and that the baby is going to be okay. Boomer and Miss Miles freeze. Boomer replies, "What?" The doctor says that the blades completely missed the room and the baby is safe and well. Miss Miles tells the doctor that this is impossible. She can't be pregnant. She's been locked up in prison for years. The doctor replies saying that there is no doubt about it. Boomer is approximately 8 weeks pregnant. Miss Miles looks at Boomer in total shock and Boomer puts her head in her hands. Back in the prison, Mr. Jackson wakes up on the floor and raises the alarm straight away. Anne Reynolds and Vera are wondering what the hell is happening now. Ali, upset in the slot, is visited by Dr. Peterson. Ali runs to Dr. Peterson and hugs her and begs her for help. Dr. Peterson tells Ali that it's okay, everything is going to be okay now. Mr. Jackson tells Vera and Anne that he thinks Dr. Peterson is after Ali in some sick revenge plot for Sean Brody's death, and the 3 of them head over straight to the slot. Back in the slot, Dr. Peterson is holding Ali and telling her that she can help her get the voices out of her head. Ali asks her how can she do that, and then all of a sudden a crazy look comes over on Dr. Peterson's face and she throws Ali onto the floor. Dr. Peterson, armed with an electric wire, wraps it around Ali's neck. Dr. Peterson has turned absolutely crazy. A deep crazy voice is coming out of her telling Ali that she is now going to pay for what she did to her boy and start strangling the life out of her. Vera, Anne and Will arrive in the slot and they grab Dr. Peterson off Ali. Dr. Peterson is screaming at Mr. Jackson to get off him. Ali is completely passed out and isn't breathing. Vera starts doing CPR. Dr. Peterson is screaming at Vera to let her die. She deserves to die. But Ali starts to breathe again. Dr. Peterson is taken away by the police and is arrested for the attempted murder on Ali. Anne Reynolds cannot believe what has been happening in the prison over the last 24 hours and tells Vera that changes are going to have to be made. Back in Queensland, Ruby has managed to cut through her ties, but she pretends that she is still tied up until Mari comes back down to the basement, where she will hopefully make her escape. Rita is now getting very concerned when Ruby isn't answering any of her phone calls, and she asks Vera if she can look into it for her. Ferguson gets a visit from her lawyer, who has some interesting news for her. Basically, her lawyer is applying to the Supreme Court that all her charges are quashed. It's quite clear after what has happened with Jake trying to kill her that there has been a big conspiracy against her from day one. There is no proof or witnesses that she murdered B. Smith, as it's been proven that Officer Murphy was reported as the officer who let B out to try and kill her. So the lawyer is hoping to get the manslaughter charge and the escape charge dropped, and she will be leaving the prison a completely free woman. Ferguson has a big smile on her face. When Ferguson's lawyer leaves, Ferguson meets up with Anne Reynolds. Ferguson tells her the news, and Anne tells Ferguson that her brother, who is part of the Supreme Court panel, will work on everyone to get the charges dropped. And then she says she can come back as governor to clear up the mess the prison is in. Ferguson tells Anne that once she has done this for her, then Anne's debt to her will be completely wiped. Is Ferguson about to be coming back as Wentworth's new governor? Miss Miles telephones Vera from the hospital and tells her that Boomer is 8 weeks pregnant. Vera cannot believe what she is hearing. Vera tells Linda to find out who is the baby's dad and to get back to her. So Miss Miles questions Boomer, but Boomer will not tell her who the dad is. Dr. Miller takes a look at Ali and at the medication that she's been taking and sees that it's the medication that has been contributing to Ali's crazy behaviour, and he takes her off them straight away. Back in Queensland, Mari heads down to the basement to visit Ruby. Ruby takes a chance and makes a run for it. Mari grabs Ruby, but Ruby punches her in the face and carries on running. Ruby gets outside and realises that she is in the middle of nowhere. Mari catches up with her and dives on top of her. The pair of them scuffle on the floor, and then Ruby punches Mari over and over again before getting up and making a run for it. Mari gets up and runs over to a car and chases Ruby, trying to run her over but missing her. Ruby runs into the woods and tries to hide. Mari grabs a loaded gun from inside the glove box and hunts Ruby down in the woods. Ruby is hiding in some bushes, but then Mari finds her and tries to shoot her but misses. Ruby quickly runs at Mari and tries to take the gun off her, but the two of them end up on top of each other on the floor, struggling and fighting to get the gun, and then all of a sudden a gunshot rings out. Boomer is brought back to Wentworth and is heavily questioned by Vera about this mystery pregnancy. Boomer tries telling Vera it was conceived when she had her day out visit with her mum, but Vera tells Boomer that it is impossible as she is only 8 weeks pregnant, so the baby would have had to have been conceived inside the prison. Boomer's lips are sealed. Bridget goes to see Ferguson in her unit and has a chat with her. Bridget asks Ferguson why has she set her and Frankie up. Ferguson tells Bridget that anyone who betrays her will always pay, no exception. Bridget tells Ferguson that she will never be able to prove that Frankie and herself tried to bury her alive. But Ferguson tells Bridget that we will see what happens, won't we? Boomer comes back from the SEG unit and apologises to Boomer, explains what happened with Dr. Peterson. Boomer of course forgives Ali and tells all the women that she's pregnant. The women are shocked and ask Boomer how the hell is this possible. but Boomer tells them that she cannot tell anyone who the baby's dad is. Rita asks Vera if she's been able to get hold of Ruby, but Vera tells her there's been no answer. Rita decides to ask one of the gang members from her bikie gang to go and check things out for her. Ali and Boomer have a heart-to-heart in the cell. Ali tells Boomer that she was so scared she was going to die. Boomer hugs Ali and tells her that nobody is going to hurt her anymore. But then, a new prisoner is brought to Wentworth, Dr. Kate Peterson. Hold on tight, Ali. Ferguson has a visit from her lawyer, and it's now confirmed the Supreme Court judge has ruled that all of Ferguson's charges are now dropped and she is a free woman. Ferguson goes back to her cell and starts to pack her things. Vera is informed by Anne Reynolds about Ferguson's release. Vera cannot believe what she is hearing. How on earth did a Supreme Court judge give that ruling? Vera is now convinced that someone on the inside is helping Ferguson. Ferguson is walked out through the prison and the women are looking shocked. Parker goes to say goodbye to Ferguson, but Ferguson tells Parker that she is just a dummy who has served her purpose and walks out of the prison a free woman. Parker goes back to her cell and smashes the cell up. Ferguson looks back at Wentworth with Vera and Will standing outside watching. Nobody can quite believe what is happening. Rita gets a visit from her bikie friend who tells her that Ruby's flat hasn't been slept in. Rita starts to panic when she realises that Mari, who has escaped, must have gone after Ruby. Ali has the shock of her life when she sees Kate Peterson being brought into H Block as a prisoner. Boomer promises Ali that she won't let anyone hurt her, but Ali tells Boomer that she has to look after her baby now. Later on, Boomer is in the shower block and meets up with Dr. Miller. We discover that Dr. Miller is the daddy. A moment of madness happened between the both of them a little while back. Boomer tells Dr. Miller that she won't tell anyone that he is the father to the baby. And Boomer even thanks Dr. Miller for finally giving her something that she's wanted for years. Dr. Miller tells Boomer that this is just total craziness. But unfortunately, just outside the shower block is Dr. Miller's adopted sister, Reb Keane, who has overheard the whole conversation. Rita is told she has a visit, so when Rita goes to the visitor's room she realises that it's Ruby. The two of them sit down and Rita asks Ruby where the hell has she been. Ruby tells her that Mari had organised for her to be kidnapped and the pair of them ended up having a huge fight. Rita asks Ruby where is Mari now, and Ruby tells Rita that there was a struggle with a gun and it went off and it hit Mari. Mari is dead and she had to get rid of the body. Ruby said she dragged Mari's body to some cliffs and threw her body into the water. Rita is shocked but is relieved and that Ruby is now safe and free of Mari Winter once and for all. Anne Reynolds calls a meeting for all staff members. Everyone arrives not knowing what the meeting is about, not even Vera. Anne starts by telling everyone about the mess that the prison has been in lately. She goes on to tell everyone that she was sent there to clean up Wentworth after the siege. But since she has been there has been a suicide, a gun brought into Wentworth, an attempted murder from a staff member on an inmate, and enough is enough. Anne turns to Vera and tells her that she is sorry, but you are now going to be replaced as governor and demoted back to deputy. Mr. Jackson will remain as a senior officer for the time being. Miss Miles asks Mrs. Reynolds who is going to be the new governor then. And then Mrs. Reynolds says, I'm glad you asked. I'd like you all to welcome back your new governor, Joan Ferguson. Ferguson walks through the door in her governor's uniform. Mrs. Reynolds tells everyone that from now on, this prison is going to be run properly and to the book. Ferguson looks at everyone and says, hello everyone, I'm back now, and now it's time to show the women and everyone in this institution how a prison should be run. All the officers are horrified and shocked, and Ferguson has a big smile on her face. Ferguson calls Vera and Will to her office. Will tells Ferguson that he will not work with her and hands in his resignation. Vera goes on to say the same. She quits and they both go to leave the office, but not before Ferguson stops them both in their tracks. Ferguson tells them that she still has the photos of them both digging up her supposed dead body and then covering up their tracks. She goes on to tell the both of them that if either of them resign, then she will hand the photos over to the police and the pair of them will spend a hefty time behind bars. The women are all in the dining room having food. Kate Peterson walks in and gives Ali an evil look. Rita goes up to Kate and tells her that she is to leave Ali alone. Kate tells Rita that she will do what needs to be done and heads over to grab some food. But then, all the women gasp in horror. In walks Governor Ferguson into the dining room. The room is silenced to the point you can hear a pin drop. Ferguson speaks, telling the women that the fun is over. The top bitch is back, and now you're all mine.